You're probably asking yourself, how can a doctor making six figures a year be broke? Trust me, it's much easier than you can imagine. Really, your income doesn't matter. What you do for a living doesn't matter. If you want to keep from being broke, none of these things matter except for the 5 things that we're going to discuss in this video. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a periodontist that's on a mission to get you out of the rat race with passive income creation. You can download the passive income guide I put together just for you below this video. Every day I hear stories about people that don't understand what being broke means. It could be literally the new doctor right out of residency with $500,000 in student loans that think they deserve the $90,000 BMW because they deserve it. Or it's the family that has to take their kids out of private school system because they can't make their payments on the new $100,000 Jeep Grand Wagoneer and the private school too. Go figure. It's because of one simple thing. They don't know how to do the math. And that's why they're broke and will continue to stay broke until they learn to avoid poor financial decisions. It's really that simple. I don't know anybody anywhere that starts their career out wanting to and aspiring to become poor. Do you? Now, when I say the word or say the phrase broke person, what comes to mind? Maybe somebody living under a bridge or out of their car. Well, if that's what you think, then I have some news for you. You can be a broke doctor. You can be a broke attorney. You can be a broke NBA player. You can be a broke NFL player. Remember, what you do for a living or what you make a year, it doesn't matter. Bad financial habits are contagious, so maybe you should wear a mask. I don't know. Question. What does a broke person mean? Well, a broke person means essentially somebody that's doing nothing more than living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, that's what being broke means. This could be somebody making $300,000 a year, or it could be somebody making $30,000 a year. Really doesn't matter. Broke is having debt payments up to your eyeballs, like me after my dental residency. It's $300,000. It's making purchasing decisions based on whether or not you can afford the monthly payment. So here's the deal. Being broke in today's society is normal. And there's a lot of people out there that are normal. So if you're normal, then that's okay, because today you're going to learn how to stop being broke so you can make financial progress for a much better life. So are Americans really broke? Well, did you know that 78% of Americans they're broke? They're living paycheck to paycheck. 78% of Americans. So to put this in perspective, this means that 8 out of your 10 neighbors, they don't have $1,000 saved up in an emergency fund to help protect them or cover them from some financial disaster. So what this means is if they have some type of financial catastrophe, they have to go into further debt to get out of it. Probably going to use a credit card. So if the roof caves in or their air conditioning unit goes out, they'll charge it. Dave Ramsey teaches that we should have 3 to 6 months of emergency savings in a place to avoid these types of catastrophes. And the older that I get, the more risk averse I become. For me, having a year and a half to 2 years worth of emergency savings is actually better. Again, it's whatever makes you sleep better at night, whatever makes you comfortable. Before I get off of the emergency fund subject, let me say one other thing. I can't tell you how many times somebody will write an article or they'll post some sort of question on one of those forums, online forums, whatever, about the best place to store their money in an emergency fund to get the best return. Look, this is completely the wrong approach. This, in an emergency fund, this is something that you need actually quick access to at any given moment, day or night, even on the weekend, because you never know when Murphy's going to come knocking on your door, right? So those that get tied up so much about where to have their savings, should it be in a CD, should it be a money market, should it be in a stock, a mutual fund, whatever, guess what? Most of the time, these people never get around to funding it in the first place. They suffer from what's called paralysis by analysis. Look, take this money, figure out 3 to 6 months, keep it in a checking account or a money market account, and don't worry about the interest rate and move on. Because again, you want quick access to it when something happens. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about another group that's actually growing bigger and bigger every day, called Henrys. Because being broke is not for those that are just in a small income problem. Henrys stand for high earner, not yet rich. Now, these are people who enjoy an above average income, but these people are much more inclined to spend on expensive gifts rather than save their money or invest. They tend to, typically, this group of people, they tend to have an advanced degree, they make a lot of money, yet they spend it as soon as it hits their checking account. Know anybody like this? Now that we've identified what it means to be broke, let's go over the 5 ways that you can avoid being broke no matter what you make a year. All right? Number 1, you've got to start off with changing your mindset. For me personally, when I've made a dramatic change in my life, it all started right here between the ears, a mindset shift. So for instance, growing up, I dealt with a scarcity mindset because my brother and I, we constantly heard that, hey guys, money doesn't grow on trees, and that we couldn't afford things that most of our friends had. And it really wasn't until I was able to make a change in the way that I thought about how money is abundant. Money is abundant and it's out there for everybody. So the $100 bill in your pocket, you do have a $100 bill in your pocket, right? So this money, this $100 bill in your pocket, this money out there, it doesn't know how you think about money, right? It's just paper. Money goes to where it wants to, and it tends to, typically it falls into the hands of those that know how to make it circulate versus those that what? They take it and they bury it in their backyard. That's why it's called circulation, movement. Now, when you make a mindset change and decide that you don't want to think how most people think about money anymore, that's when you're going to start being able to get control of your finances. Unless you're sick of being broke and quit buying things you don't need, nothing's going to change. Number 2, you must avoid the net zero life. And the net zero life, this is keeping most people broke. And this is one of the biggest things keeping people broke and avoiding them to getting to be financially free. It works like this. Most people think that if they have $1,000, they can go out and spend the $1,000 on something like a new phone because they have the $1,000 in their bank account. This is net zero thinking. This mindset is the major reason that these people that think like this can kill their wealth, because if you have only $1,000, you can't afford to spend all of it. You can't afford to spend the $1,000. And having this mindset like this is going to determine whether you're going to have financial stability and build wealth or not. If you make $100,000 a year and you have this type of thinking and you spend all of it, then guess what? That's right. You're broke and you're going to remain broke. If you make $20,000 a year and you spend $20,000, guess what? You're still broke. You've got to understand some of your money needs to be saved to protect you, again, from emergencies, and the other needs to be invested for building wealth. When you have a need to spend every dollar you have on material things that don't make you money, then you're going to be broke. And the solution to this net zero thinking is to simply create a system where you're not allowed to spend all of the money you have, thus living below your means. Not a very hard concept to grasp, is it? Number 3, avoid money traps. Let me give you an example of a money trap that most people fall into, whether they realize it or not. Now, as mentioned earlier, it may not be so obvious when you get into one of these, as this can happen when most people claim that they can afford something simply based on their monthly payment. Again, that's much different than being able to afford something when you think about it on a monthly payment or not. So let's use that $1,000 cell phone example. All right. Most people out there, they're financing a cell phone on a 48 or 60 month or maybe even higher monthly payments because they can't afford to pay cash for one. Yet they tell themselves they can afford it because they can pay the $50 a month bill with 0% APR financing. Don't be fooled, because this, my friends, is one of the biggest money traps out there. What happens when you finance something that you cannot afford to buy up front. Okay, so now you're going to be paying this monthly bill. You're going to be paying this $30, this $40, this $50 a month for the rest of your life. Why? Well, because every year you're going to continue to keep getting into this trap of buying a brand new cell phone because Apple tells you to do that, right? Second, you never have the pain of this money, this $1,000 leaving your wallet to go pay for a phone that's going to be obsolete in what, 2-3 years? The only thing that you see is what? The $50 coming out of your account each month, or that's put on your MasterCard, which makes you think it's only costing $50 a month. Now, because of this, you have no issues then. Only $50 is coming out of my account. You have no issues going to Best Buy the following month to purchase some sort of impulse buy, like a $2,500 laptop, again, that you cannot afford. But guess what? It's only $85 a month. You and I and everybody else, we've been led to believe that we were being financially smart by paying 0% APR. But in reality, you and everybody else that does this, you just got played, because now you're spending more money on things that you don't need because you never, again, had that pain of money leaving your pocket in the first place. The bottom line is this: if you can't pay it forward up front, don't buy it. Can't pay, don't play. The goal of avoiding, again, a net zero life and money traps, we want you to avoid it so you can grow your money and your wealth faster. Number 4, stop comparing yourself to other people. The best way, the absolute best way to ensure you're going to have financial stress and make poor financial decisions the rest of your life is by living with discontentment. This is usually seen in somebody that's always trying to what? Keep up with the Joneses. You're scrolling through Instagram. Oh, look what they have. Look where they went. Look where they're traveling. Oh, I need to do that. I need to buy that, right? You're never content with what you have. And unfortunately, social media makes this vicious cycle way too easy, as with just simply one click, we're able to see things our friends have, but again, we don't. And what does society tell us? It tells us that we always need more or something better, right? We always need more. We always need something better. And what we have now is never good enough. Don't equate your self-worth with your ability to buy things. This type of thinking will never provide you with contentment, because when you're doing this, you're never going to be content, and it's going to keep you being stuck in debt forever. Now, the older that I get, the more that I realize contentment can't be achieved without personal discipline and staying within the lifestyle parameters that God has actually established for me based on his provision. Did you know that studies show that 70% of lottery winners, they end up broke, usually within the first couple of years after they win the lottery? Only after 2 years of retirement, 78% of NFL players have either gone bankrupt, they're under financial stress, they get a divorce, they can't hold a job, only 2 years after they get out of the league. And then within 5 years of retirement, an estimated 60% of NBA players are, again, they're broke. Again, personal discipline is one of the keys to being content. And last but not least is you've got to understand and learn how to play the money game. You got to learn how money works. In the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, he states, you must know the difference between an asset and a liability and buy assets. If you want to be rich, this is all you need to know. It's rule number 1. It's the only rule. Now, if you want to avoid being broke, especially those of us that are doctors, dentists, attorneys, any type of people that are high income earning professionals, then do this. Focus on buying assets. Assets put money into your pocket, and avoid liabilities, because liabilities take money out of your pocket. Too many doctors that I know and other professionals, they think that they're rich because they have expensive cars and they take these really nice, luxurious vacations and they live in big houses. The interesting thing about liabilities is they make you look rich, right? When you go out and you buy fancy clothes or nice shoes or a new watch, all of this stuff makes you appear rich. Remember, this is what broke people do. They spend all their money on liabilities. This is broke people, okay? Something else, poor in the middle class. All they do is they acquire liabilities that they think are assets. Perfect example is their home. Remember, assets put money in our pockets. Is the home you're living in putting money in your pocket or not? Unless you have somebody that's renting, probably not. Now, if you begin to avoid the net zero life and those money traps, then guess what? All of a sudden, you're going to start finding extra money in your account. And then, guess what? You can take that money and invest in real assets, tangible assets, not paper assets, but real assets, real estate, other businesses that will put money back into your pocket. And then, guess what? You can get the money from your assets to pay for your liabilities instead of you having to treat patients or going to your day job to pay for your liabilities. Again, it's a completely different type of mindset. The first time I understood this or really started to grasp this concept of this asset and liabilities was really when I started investing in real estate. Now, back then, I had saved up about 50 grand, and I was kind of going back and forth between purchasing a new four-wheel drive truck, which, being from Louisiana, you gotta have a four-wheel drive truck, right? But really looking back, I really didn't need it. Should I buy the truck or should I invest in a passive real estate syndication? And if you're not familiar with what a real estate syndication is, I'm gonna link a video right up here and explain it for you. Now, I started running some numbers and quickly I realized that my new truck is what happens when you buy a new vehicle. As soon as you buy it, take it off the lot, what does it do? Depreciates in value. Yet the real estate investment that I would have gotten into or could have gotten into, it would produce passive income and create these massive tax benefits and continue to go up in value. All right, so should I have bought the truck that went down in value or bought the asset that goes up in value, creates tax benefits, creates income, which can pay for the truck? See the difference? So if you keep money sitting around in a savings account, at some point, you're going to get to where you physically are always going to be working because you're going to have your money there making like 0.1% or whatever it makes. And you have to trade your time and your money. If you're in this situation, you should consider structuring your financial life to where you have other sources of income coming in, that it's not all on you. The burden is not all on you. You're not the one. Yeah, you're trading time for money now. That's part of it. You've got to trade time for money to have money to invest in. Okay? But you've got to get to the point, again, you've got to change your mindset. You've got to get to the point where you have other sources of income coming in that are replacing your active income. Instead of working till you're 70 or 75, like your financial advisor wants you to do that. Okay, so this is, or again, when you start doing this, you start investing in these assets, this is where having these assets come into play and they start spinning off this passive income, circulating that money, getting you out of your day-to-day job. Now, at this point, you understand the money game. You really get it. And you're using your money like a tool. It's like a magnet. You're going out and you're attracting other money. And if you want to attract more money, you simply do this. You buy assets. That's it. It's not hard to do, yet so many people won't do it. So remember, the majority of people out there, they're broke. And just because your friends are showing off the stuff on Instagram, it doesn't really mean that they can afford it. And once you realize that everybody in the world is after your money, the quicker you know that learning how to play the money game is the key to do. Just don't get played yourself. Now, I know I've been talking about money a lot, and speaking of the money game, I've got a video right here where I'm going to show you how I'm currently personally building multiple streams of income to replace my dental income. Check it out right here. Later.